down. Get somebody. Go down. Get somebody. Go down. Welcome to another Doggone Podcast here in the CEC studios. I'm your host, Mike the Mad Dog. And this episode is sponsored by Elite Detailing and Coating. They specialize in paint correction and ceramic coating. I appreciate their sponsors. My good friend, Mr. Eric Gibbs, for sponsoring this episode. Be sure to contact him if you need any detailing for your automobile. Now, joining me is a guy that's no stranger to this podcast. He's a former head coach of Kent State and a very good friend of mine, Mr. Pete Cordelli. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Mad Dog. Hope you're well and hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. And golly, championship week is here upon us.
Yes, it would appear so. Speaking of, let's go ahead. We got so much to talk about. I wish this was longer than it is, but the SEC championship game, let's go ahead and get into that. The first time they met early in the season didn't turn out well for the Dogs. Do you think it'll be different this time around?
I do, because the offensive line has played together for Georgia for the last 3 weeks, up until the second half of the last game against Georgia Tech when Drew Bobo went out. You know, we saw him on the sideline. So he's questionable for the game against Alabama, but then Jim Miller, the running back for Alabama, he gets hurt against Auburn. So there's question marks on both teams for two of their better offensive players.
Yeah, you always hear the same thing. It's hard to beat the same team twice, although Georgia kind of went against that last year when they beat Texas twice. They beat them during the regular season in the SEC championship game. What's going to make that, what is Kirby seeing in the second go-around that he saw earlier in the season that he can apply to maybe a win this time?
Well, the biggest thing is that Ty Simpson has been forcing the football and turning it over. He has 5 turnovers in his last 5 games. And that was uncharacteristic of Simpson in this offense, this Alabama offense earlier in the year. The other thing is Alabama right now, and to me, this is unheard of. They are averaging 108 total yards rushing per game. Alabama used to do that in one half. They were well over 200 yards a game when Nick Saban was there. So the key is to make Alabama one-dimensional and stop the run, force them into the pass game, and then who knows what tricks Kirby has up his sleeve to bring pressure and get to Ty Simpson, which we saw Auburn do a bunch in the Iron Bowl. So when you play somebody and then you get them later in the year, obviously injuries are number one, the healthier team. But number two, what have they done differently? And the one thing that Alabama is doing more of is they're starting to go more unbalanced, moving a tackle over, moving a tight end over, trying to get an advantage, and then going away with the play action pass. Look, Georgia's seen everything. Kirby's seen everything. And Georgia, since 2016, Georgia has played in the SEC championship 9 of the last 10 years. 9 of the last 10 years. The only year they haven't played was in 2020. COVID. That was Alabama, Florida. Other than that, Georgia has been, this is like they belong in Atlanta the first Saturday in December. And Kirby knows how important an SEC championship is. So last year, obviously beating Texas 22-19 in overtime. But Mad Dog, 9 out of the last 10 years in the SEC to make the championship game? That's unbelievable.
Yes, that is unbelievable. It's quite a feat. And Kirby didn't shy away from that during the press conference. He was very upset anytime anybody brought up the fact that maybe they shouldn't be in the SEC championship because of injuries. Same thing I thought. And I have the luxury of being that way. I have the luxury of feeling that way because I'm not coaching it. But he's kind of old school. He's very adamant about playing in this game. He thinks this game means a lot. And to a lot of people it do. But what do you say to the people that are saying that, these conference championships are going to one day become irrelevant?
Can I tell you this? This one game in Atlanta, Georgia, brings in $71 million in this weekend for both teams, for the economy of Atlanta. It's not going away, folks. $71 million in the SEC. And guess what? The Big Ten, I think, is somewhere around 66 million in Indianapolis. That's one weekend.
Yeah.
Championship games aren't going away. Not with athletic directors looking for new streams of revenue. The championship game is here to stay. And you've got UNLV playing Boise in Las Vegas. All right. How much money is that bringing in? These people, fans are going to attend the game. I know it's an extra game. Now, here's the one thing that's going to possibly make people pause and think about this. There is a movement right now that the players are going to want to be paid extra for playing in this championship game on top of what they already make in NIL. And I got to tell you where it's coming from. A lot of these players have relatives, whether it's brothers, cousins, they have agents who all play in the National Football League. And they have said to the current players, hey, man, NFL wildcard round, we all get $15,000, $18,000 per guy on top of our salary. This is a trickle-down effect from the NFL. So when you play extra games, you should be getting a bonus check because coaches get a bonus check. Why aren't the players?
Yeah.
How many contracts of college football coaches have, I make an SEC championship game, it's X number. It could be 50,000 to 200,000. I make it to the first round of the playoffs, extra bonus. Second round, it's more. I win a national championship. There's some guys out there making $500,000 if they win the national championship. And now the players have said, we got you here. We're not getting any money for the championship game or playoffs. This is being talked about right now, and it's going to have an effect on these championship games and the playoffs and bowl games for years to come. And if the players don't get what they want, they're going to boycott. We don't want that.
No.
So here's the problem, though. Players don't have a union. The NFLPA represents the National Football League, but it's coming from brothers, cousins, friends who play in the NFL going, man, why are you playing these extra games and not getting cash for it? So you can't blame the players because it's a valid point, especially when they go, and on top of that, your coach is getting a bonus for playing in these games. Why aren't you guys getting money? That is a discussion that's going on right now amongst college football players.
Well, I mean, it's all about money, and
No question.
it's going to continue to be so. I mean, they opened up the Pandora's box when they did NIL the way they did. And speaking of which, you're talking about, it's like the NFL. Does college football need some kind of commissioner to kind of rein this stuff in a little bit? I mean, does it need somebody to have like one voice that says these people get so much, you can't pay your classmates any more than they're getting right now?
I've said for 2 years, the commissioner should be Nick Saban. I'm going to stand on that until the day hell freezes over. Here's why. He's the most successful coach in the business. Unparalleled. He knows what all the problems are. I said there needs to be a commissioner for college basketball. It needs to be Mike Krzyzewski. But we have Nick going to Washington, meeting with senators, congressmen, and the president, and, giving one message. Come back, lay your foot down. The American Football Coaches Association, they have an organization, but nothing's being done. The two most prominent voices in college football and basketball are Nick Saban and Mike Krzyzewski. Now, here's the deal. You're going to have to make some tough decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going to have some critics. And it's going to be half are for you, half are against you. But as the commissioner, get the game right. Nick goes on College Game Day and says, well, this isn't a Lane Kiffin problem, him going to LSU. It's a college football. That's wrong. 30 years ago today, or excuse me, last Saturday, Nick Saban left Michigan State to go to LSU, and his team went to a bowl game. He didn't coach in the bowl. There was no NIL then. Coaches move when opportunities present itself. But the one group that's not being talked about, Mike, that's creating this are the agents.
Yeah.
Jimmy Sexton. Nick was flirting with Texas a few years ago. Part of the deal was Nick and Jimmy wanted 10% of the Longhorn network to go to Texas. But we forget all that. Well, since Nick has been at the forefront of a number of these major coaching moves, he should be the guy because he's got the best agent in the business. Give us the rules, set the parameters. I've never known a coach, when you've given them rules and parameters, that didn't go, okay, here's what we're living by. We need a commissioner, big time, in football and basketball. Get this train back on the tracks. Nick Saban, you're the biggest name out there in football. Mike Krzyzewski, you're the biggest name in basketball. And guess what? You are going to receive some criticism, but what's in the best interest of the game? It's for you two, with your experience, get us back on track. Set some rules and parameters.
Yeah, and besides that, there didn't seem to be any consequences with the NCAA, and there needs to be consequences. If they're going to have a commissioner, there has to be absolute consequences when you don't you don't carry out what they say.
Mike, when you don't have subpoena power, what leverage do you have? Because now all the NCAA has done lately is made a bunch of lawyers very rich. We are in a litigious society where everybody's going to sue on this. We're going to sue on that. Diego Pavia and Joey Aguilar are suing for another year of eligibility. Guess what? They're going to win. Precedent's been set. All the NCAA has done is created more litigation. And lawyers are going, please bring it on. Because guess what? NCAA, you know what your record is? Over. You haven't won. So guess what? Give me an NCAA case and I'm making money.
You know, it used to aggravate me.
That's why, Mike, we need this commissioner, because they have teeth. People are going to listen to Nick Saban. Why do you think game day has become so popular in the last 2 years? Because Nick Saban, when he speaks, people want to listen. Basketball with Mike Krzyzewski, same way.
Yeah, it used to aggravate me, like I was going to say, when Mark Rick whenever something would happen, and Mark Rick was a nice guy, he used to say, "Well, we need to turn ourselves into the NCAA." No, you don't, because they don't. There's no reason to turn yourself in. You know, the proof is on you to prove whether my guy did this or not, and you guys can do whatever you want to do. I wouldn't give them anything. I'd say you guys can prove it. We're going to be over here playing football. All the other teams did that except for us, and it used to aggravate me to no end.
Mad Dog, can I tell you this?
What?
When I was in coaching, the acronym for NCAA was no clue at all, because they acted like they had no clue as to what they were doing in enforcing rules.
No.
And it was just, tell me something the NCAA has done. Going back to Mark Emmert, all right? One thing they've done that has made the sport better for the players and coaches.
I can't.
Nothing. That's right. And you know what? When I got into coaching back in 1803, I guess it was, I don't know, that's what it feels like, but a long, long time ago, the rule book wasn't very thick. Now, the rule book is thicker than an Encyclopedia Britannica. And for you young people, look it up, Google it. Siri will tell you what an Encyclopedia Britannica is.
Yeah.
Because all they've done is they've gone addendum to addendum to addendum. They've never eliminated any of the rules or changed them. And that book is so big and thick, the people at the NCAA office don't even know what's in it. So this whole thing needs to be blown up, started over, and I'm all for two commissioners, one in basketball, one in football.
Yeah, that would be nice to have actually, somebody who could actually do something, make somebody do something and they actually enforce it. Because there's a lot of times you'll say, hey, back off my guys, don't pay for this guys. And the guy comes in at the last minute during recruiting and goes, here you go, come play for us. And some donor comes in there and just, drops a bag full of money. So what else is that kid going to do?
Mike, back before NIL, a lot of schools were giving players money under the table.
Yeah, of course they were. Yeah.
But guess what? In today's current environment, the kids today learned from those people years ago. So they learned they can get money from this school or that school. Now it's all above board. Like Barry Sitzer says about the NIL. NIL, now it's legal. He said, hell, I used to do that for years when it was illegal.
Yep.
And so now that it's legal, but guess what? It's been going on for years. It has been a way of life in college athletics. We can't hide our head in the sand anymore. Quit being an ostrich, man. It happened. Let's move on. Let's learn from it. How do we make it better? Let's stop living in the past. If you're not, don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. What do we do to make it better? We get the voices of experience going, here's how it's going to be. Here are the rules. If we need to adjust, we'll adjust. But here are the base rules. Comply or get penalized.
Yeah. Listen, I want to circle back to something. The Georgia Tech game. Georgia
Yeah.
didn't exactly play offensively the way a lot of people wanted them to. Now, defensively, holding that team to 3 field goals was absolutely perfect. I mean, I can't argue with the defense at all. But offensively, it seemed like after Gunner threw that interception, something got in his head. He wasn't quite the same after that. Should we be concerned with them going into this SEC championship game?
No, I believe Georgia Tech threw him off a little bit defensively when it became passing situations and Georgia Tech started only rushing 3 and they were dropping 8. And that wasn't something I believe that Georgia was really anticipating. And it kind of threw Gunner off a little bit. And some of the decisions, when you drop 8, it's usually 5 underneath with 3 deep behind it. So there's some seams that are open and you have to go find the receiver in that middle area. When I break up the passing game, I always do it line of scrimmage to 10 yards deep or behind the line of scrimmage with tunnel bubble. That's the short area.
Yeah.
The middle area is 11 yards from the line of scrimmage to 25 yards deep. There, you got to be able to fit the ball in over the linebacker and in front of the secondary. So you layer it, you feather it in. From 26 yards on, it's a deep ball. So now you read the defender. If the defender is deeper than the receiver, you throw it on a line so that the receiver stays between the defender and the ball. If the defender's behind the receiver, you throw it with air and let the receiver go get it. So you have to know what receivers are in the short area, in the intermediate area, and are deep. And so it's either a 3-level concept or a 2-level concept. Some of the things, and receivers have to be able to sight adjust. What I mean by that is, as they come off the line, there's a pre-snap read, how deep's the corner, there's a post-snap read. If the corner's up in press, but when the ball snapped, he bails, well, now I'm not going to be able to run by him. I convert my route into about a 6-yard stop. Those are the things that you have to practice. And until coaches and players have that iPad on the sideline, they go back and go, okay, they're showing one look, they're bailing to another, sight adjust. Corner goes deep, turn it into a hitch. Corner stays up and press, run to go. And so now there's got to be a communication. And I think it took Gunner, the receivers, and the coaches 2 or 3 series to try to get that straight. But I don't believe there's anything to worry about. Gunner's going to be just fine this week going into the championship game. Georgia Tech sprung a little surprise on them.
Well, they always do. Rivalry week is always kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's always. You always knew the Iron Bowl was going to be tough. The Egg Bowl was pretty intense. I think the Egg Bowl is the only one I saw their actual fight broke out during that game.
Man, I did Ole Miss radio, football on the radio for 14 years. I can remember 3 times going to Starkville and 3 fights breaking out before the game. I mean, there was one, Mike, in 1997. This is before the officials had to be on the field. Ole Miss comes out and they're warming up at the one end. And a bunch of the Mississippi State guys, about 15 of them come out. One of them goes up and clocks an Ole Miss guy right in the back of the head. I mean, the kid never saw it. The fight spills out. I'm standing in the press box. David Kellum's the play-by-play guy for Ole Miss. We both have binoculars on. And Kellum looks at me. He goes, Coach, who's the guy in the flannel shirt on the sideline punching our guy? I looked down there. Mississippi State had recruits down there. This was a junior college offensive lineman Mississippi State was recruiting. The kid ran off the sideline and started punching an Ole Miss guy. And they had to get the state police, the dogs. I mean, so finally we asked the SID, who's that guy? They come back and say, that's a junior college recruit, offensive lineman, Mississippi State brought it. He just wanted to get in the fight.
There were a lot of coaching hires coming
Yep.
up in the SEC. What do you think? I mean, a lot of Florida fans weren't too happy with Summerall. What do you think? What do you think Florida's going to get in that coach?
John Summerall is one of the best coaches out there. I mean, what he did as a defensive coordinator at Kentucky, he played at Kentucky. He was an assistant at Ole Miss. But when he became the head coach at Troy, that defense was ranked in the top 5 in the country 2 years in a row. They won the Sun Belt Conference. He's gone to Tulane and done a heck of a job. I mean, this guy has a plan. He's disciplined. He sets the bar and he holds guys accountable. He hired a good friend of his to be the defensive coordinator coming from Kentucky. This will be a much more disciplined Florida football team. They'll be better coached on little things. And John Summerall will recruit 24/7, 365. Florida hired a heck of a guy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really want to have to ask you about this, but it's been everywhere. I mean, Lane going to LSU.
Yep.
And, it's not, to me, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, he spent 6 years at Ole Miss, which is as long as he's ever been anywhere. And it's to me, it's not so much that he left, it's how he did it that's got everybody up in an uproar. How do you feel about what happened there?
Lane showed who Lane Kiffin was again. I mean, we've seen this before. When Brian Kelly got fired, I've got some pretty close friends in Baton Rouge. A week later, two different guys called me and said, "Coach, this is over." I said, "What's up?" They said, "Jimmy Sexton's got Lane Kiffin coming here. Forget the Florida talk. This thing's going to get done, and Kiffin is their guy." So Kiffin knew he was leaving the whole time. Again, we don't hold agents accountable.
Yeah.
But things don't just happen in 24, 48 hours and coaching changes. It takes a good 3 weeks to a month. Sexton had been working on this. They agreed to certain things. One of the hiccups, I guess, was when the new chancellor was appointed at LSU. He came from McNeese. He wanted to bring the athletic director from McNeese. The governor said, "No, we're hiring Verge Ausberry," because Verge was the one doing all the negotiating with Sexton about Lane. So that kind of set things back a couple days. But once they got that straightened out, Kiffin knew he was going to LSU. This flirtation with Florida was just to throw folks off. But in coaching, you know that you have a team 11-1. And if Auburn would have upset Alabama, Ole Miss would have been in the SEC championship game first time.
Yeah.
In Ole Miss history. Lane Kiffin sold those guys in Oxford at Ole Miss on the idea of come to Oxford, let's win a championship, let's get in the college playoffs, do something that's never been done here before. He had 10-win seasons. That hadn't been done back-to-back. That hadn't never been done in history. Got that done. 11-1, never been done. They're going to make the college football playoff. So the players, and Mike, that's one group you never fool. They know who they can trust. They put their trust in Lane Kiffin. We did everything that you asked us to do, Coach. Went 10-2, 10-2, 11-1. We're getting ready to go to the college football playoff, and we have a chance to win it. Why is LSU a better job now than Ole Miss? We made Ole Miss a better job than LSU, and you're leaving us? Wait, so you can't do it to the players. You sold them a bill of goods. They bought in. They got it done. And then Nick Saban comes out and goes, well, LSU, you can recruit better athletes. I heard that there were a number of Ole Miss players who went, wait a minute. They're 7-4, 7-5. We're 11-1. Better players? So the current Ole Miss team they took it as they took it personally, like, wait a minute, you lied to us.
Yeah.
And then a couple of them have come out this week and said, nobody begged Lane Kiffin to coach in the playoffs, stay and coach. No, that didn't happen. We did everything you wanted us to do for the last 3 years. We've built the Ole Miss program to be better than LSU. And now you're leaving for LSU? And then he's reading a deal. I just want to tell you that the last 6, that's hard. You don't need to read off a script about why you're leaving. I'm going to tell you what, the drama that Lane creates, I promise you, Scott Strickland in Florida, he's glad that Kiffin's in Baton Rouge because he didn't want that at Florida. But it was never going to happen because it was already done a week after Brian Kelly got fired.
Well, for somebody who says they don't want to make anything about money, he sure is rolling it in with LSU. I mean, not to mention, like, I think I heard this morning that, he gets like so many hours on the jet wherever he wants to go. I mean, not to mention, what is it, like 13 a year? Like for somebody who said it's not all about money, he sure didn't say no to it.
How about this one? LSU is going to pay him the bonuses he would have received at Ole Miss this year for the college football playoff. So LSU is now going to also pay him. LSU makes the playoff. If they come out Sunday and make it, which they will, he's getting a bonus. If they get past the first round, he gets another bonus. LSU is going to pay him that. On top of coaching for the Tigers.
I think it was one thing
there's no buyout.
Yeah. There's somebody said something about he sells his house, and if it doesn't bring what he wants it to bring, they'll pay him up to $500,000. They're going to pay the difference. Yeah, they're going to pay the difference. I mean, it's insane the deal he got.
But that's Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah,
that's Sexton working, and LSU saying, "Yeah, we'll do it." I'm just amazed that no one has the spine, has the guts to stand up and say, here's what we're doing. And guess what? I don't know how many times that the first name in a coaching search ever gets that job, but there are a lot of good coaches out there, okay?
Yeah.
Lane's done an excellent job at Ole Miss, but guess what? There's some other guys that are hungrier and going to be more creative and work. There wouldn't have been that big of a drop off in who LSU hired as the second or third choice.
Yeah, you're right.
And then he's bringing Ogeron back. Eddie Ogeron moved back to his house in Baton Rouge 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard that was. I also, I listened to Bill King's show. I listened to all that every morning, and they're talking about that. Anything he said, LSU absolutely said no. They didn't say no to. Everything he said, yes. Can I have this? Yes. Can I hire this guy? Yes. Can I do this? Yes. I mean, how exactly can, if you're going to a school with a bunch of yes men and anything you say goes, I mean, it'd be hard to turn that down even for me.
When Nick Saban went to Alabama, he told Mal Moore, he said, I know you're the athletic director and title here. He said, but you're the athletic director for all other sports. I run football. Guess what? Lane Kiffin, how many times has he credited Nick with helping him get that job? He's told Verge, I'm going to run football. You run all the other sports.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But guess what? Again, it's his agent, Sexton, pushing for all that. And if you keep getting what you want, why would you stop? The Lane Train drama just moved to Baton Rouge, but you know what? He's done this other places. And that team, they did not appreciate him saying, we begged him to stop. They didn't beg anybody.
Yeah.
And they're thrilled, Pete Golding. And you know what? The administration at Ole Miss, I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Chris Carter had to do the right thing for his university. And that is, we're not going to let you go be the head coach of another school and coach our team. We're good enough. We're 11-1. Never done that in history of the program. You coach us and stay here and build our, because the money wasn't an object at Ole Miss. They were going to give them a bump in salary.
Well, do you think Ole Miss did the right thing by promoting the defensive coordinator?
Yes, I
He's
do.
going to be a good head coach.
I believe you will. I believe you will. And the key to me is who he hires on offense.
Yeah, that's always.
Now I've heard that there's some discussion going on with Bobby Petrino coming from Arkansas to be the offensive coordinator. Bobby Petrino would be a great hire.
Let me ask you this: since you're a former offensive coordinator and then a head coach, I always wondered this: when you're a defensive coach, everybody always asks who's you going to have, as offensive coordinator. Is it easier being an offensive coordinator working for a defensive-minded coach who has to trust you on that side of the ball, or an offensive-minded coach that's going to absolutely micromanage you to death?
Again, see, what you just said is more important. What kind of person is he? Is he a micromanager or does he trust you?
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with offense, defense. That just has to come down. That comes down to the personality of the person you're working for. The problem with James Franklin at Penn State, he used to question every offensive coordinator. What are you doing? But during a game on the headset. And finally, one of them, Joe Moorhead, when he was there before he took the Mississippi State job, he took the headset off and he handed it to Franklin one time. He said, "Here, you call it, because I'm not putting up with your criticism anymore.
Yeah.
You gave me the responsibility. I'm going to call what I see. Don't question every play." So it comes down to trust. Every relationship we have in this world is built on trust. Once you break that trust, it's hard to get it back, whether it's coach to coach, coach to player, player to coach, or even in our daily lives. Man and wife and husband. Student, teacher, teacher, student. Every relationship we have is built on trust. You have to trust the people you're working for that they're going to uphold their word, their end of it, and go, "Look, I'm the defensive. I'll run the defense. You're the head coach of the offense, and run it that way." And I think Pete Golding understands. He gets a guy as experienced as Bobby Petrino. He's not going to question him.
No, and you shouldn't. Well, listen, I can be honest with you. I could talk to you all day. You got 1,000 stories, and I'd love to hear every one of them. We could do this all the time.
I'm telling you.
Not to mention stuff we talk about, outside of here. But listen, I want to thank you for coming on again. It means the world to me.
Hey, happy to do it. It's always a pleasure, man. It's an honor to be with you. You do a great job, and the folks there do a great job. It's a pleasure being with you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much to hear you say that. It means a lot. Ever since I first met you, I've always valued your opinion. I think that's great. Listen, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this episode of Another Doggone Podcast. I'd like to thank Coach Pete for being on here, and doggone it, I'm out.